Our story begins in the royal capital Paloma, where humans treated demi-humans with cruelty, always beating them and humiliating them. Yet our hero Panaza was different because he was kind. He treated them well and gave them their full wages, and for this reason, all the people of the royal capital hated him. While he was paying one of the demi-humans and giving him his full wage, a girl named Quinn appeared. She too treated demi-humans with kindness, and she invited him to have lunch with her. He felt that finally there was someone who resembled him in how he treated others. While he was still wondering why people were so cruel to the demi-humans, suddenly his hand and his whole body began to shine with light. At that moment, Quinn searched for him but could not find him. While he found himself in a strange place surrounded by a group of sorcerers, one of them said, "Welcome to the kingdom of Clyde. You are the chosen hero candidate." But Panaza replied in surprise, "I am not a hero, I am only a merchant." The man answered, "We summon a person from another world from time to time to help us defeat the armies of the Demon King." Then a beast appeared, carrying a magical crystal to measure his power. When they measured it, the result showed very weak. The beast said, "This one is weak. He is not a hero." And Panaza answered, "Didn't I tell you I am only a merchant? Send me back to my world." At the same moment, another person appeared, summoned with him, and his power was very great. The sorcerers were astonished and said, "This is our true hero, the one who will defeat the armies of the Demon King." As for Panaza, no one cared about him. After that, they placed him in a carriage and expelled him from the kingdom, and the king told him that the gate he came through had closed, and he could never return to his world. They decided to leave him in one of the forests inside the kingdom, and warned him not to tell anyone that they had summoned him by mistake. On the way, he spoke to one of the demi-humans and asked him, "Are you also treated with cruelty here?" But the demi-human became upset and closed the window in his face. After 20 days, he arrived at the forest where he was supposed to live. The demi-human beast gave him a magical bag and said to him before leaving, "Leave this place, for the armies of the Demon King are near it." After he left, Panaza stood astonished and said, "Why does he want me to leave? I do not understand anything." As soon as Panaza placed his hand on the magic bag, a statistics screen appeared, and he saw his level. Then, from inside it, came out a very old and broken sword. Suddenly, a group of slime monsters appeared behind him, so he thought they were kind and harmless, but they attacked him. He used the sword and killed them, and after he finished, he found that the sword was destroyed and became useless. Then a message appeared, that his level had risen to level 2, and another message asked him if he wanted to activate voice guidance. He agreed and felt that someone was talking to him inside the forest. Many screens appeared, telling him that he had gained new magical abilities. After that, another message came, telling him that the magic bag carried a dangerous curse that attracted monsters toward him. He used his magical power to cancel it and get rid of it. Then he went toward the forest to find a place to sit, but the system warned him not to enter because it was very dangerous. It told him that it was polluted with demonic substance, which is a gas and liquid material that comes from demons and can kill humans. The system asked him to use a special spell to cancel its effect, so he did, and was able to purify the forest in seconds. Many messages appeared, telling him his level had risen again. We return then to the kingdom, where Princess Elizabeth was angry because her father expelled Panaza, and she told him that what he did was a great mistake, and that the forest he went to was close to the army of Demon King Gol. But the king did not care about her words, and said that he deserved what happened to him because he was a very weak hero. Suddenly, one of the sorcerers came and told the king that someone had used purification magic, which is one of the highest kinds of magic. The king thought that the second hero with the yellow hair was the one who used it, because when they measured his power, it was legendary. But the sorcerer told him that the candidate hero was in the south, while the purification magic had been used in the north. Then we returned to Panaza, who was shocked by the great rise in his level. Even though he did not kill many monsters, he decided to stop the notifications of level rise because they annoyed him, and he asked the system about his magical power and found it completely full. So he decided to return to the city that had expelled him. He used transformation magic to change his appearance, but he did not know how to use the system well, so he accidentally transformed into a girl. Then he corrected his form again, and was able to enter the town without anyone recognizing him. After that, the system told him that he could use transfer magic to go directly to the royal capital. He did the spell and transferred to the kingdom. He was amazed by transfer magic and decided to try it to return to his old world, but he failed and said that he must find a way to earn money. So he began to search for the Adventurers Guild to take quests and gain money. He arrived indeed at the Adventurers Guild and began to register himself as an adventurer. He chose the name Fleo, which was the name of the dog he had raised in his old world. Then he was classified as an E-rank adventurer and went to look for a quest suitable for his level to earn money. At that time, he heard a small girl begging the adventurers to accompany her to the dangerous northern forest, but they refused because they feared the army of Demon King Gol. Panaza saw her and was moved. He told her that he was ready to go with her, and she said that she did not have money to pay the fee. He told her it was no problem, because he had been just before in the same forest by transfer magic and could return easily. The adventurers were shocked when they knew that he had come from the northern forest and could use transfer magic. While he was speaking with her, a knightess placed her sword on his neck. She told him to stay away from the small girl, because he looked as if he wanted to kidnap her. She confirmed that someone weak of E rank could never use transfer magic. The knightesses gathered around him, but Panaza did not want to reveal his identity as the failed summoned hero. He decided to take the knightesses and the sorceresses with him to a far place to confess the truth and explain everything. Then he used transfer magic and took them directly to the northern forest. They were amazed and told him, "You are a high-rank sorcerer." But he replied that he was only an ordinary adventurer who knew some simple magic. They apologized for doubting him. The small girl was shocked that the demonic substance had disappeared from the forest, and Panaza told her that he had used purification magic. Suddenly, a message came from the system, ordering Panaza not to tell anyone about the matter. Then all the knights gathered around the little girl and told her to reveal her true form. Panaza was shocked and did not understand. The knight explained that the guild had placed a warning about a small girl who asked to go to the northern forest, the place known for the presence of the Demon King's army. That was why the guild always warned them about her. Indeed, the girl was a demon. She suddenly transformed into a huge monster. It was revealed that she was the younger sister of one of the 4 demon kings. She unleashed her poisonous demonic magic. All the knights collapsed, losing their strength, while Panaza was not affected at all. The demon tried to kill one of them, but Panaza predicted her move and intervened at the last moment. He realized that he could not help them or face her directly, so he used teleportation magic and moved everyone back to the kingdom. Then he stayed behind to try all his magic spells against the demon. When she attacked, Panaza used high jump magic and leapt into the air to avoid her strike. She attacked again with her tail, but he used ground barrier magic and blocked it. After that, he cast storm magic and flew into the sky. The demon reacted quickly, using temporary teleportation magic to appear behind him, but he immediately used gravity magic. A magic circle appeared above her and pressed her to the ground with irresistible force. She tried to rise again, while Panaza searched through his spells for a way to restrain her. Then the system suggested slave magic, which would allow him to control her as his servant. But he remembered his old world, where humans tortured half-humans. He refused to use such magic against her. The demon tried to weaken the gravity spell, but every time she broke free, he reactivated it. The system kept repeating the suggestion of enslavement, yet he refused firmly. He declared that he had come to this world to escape the slavery he had suffered before. He ordered the system never to propose that spell again. Despite her repeated attempts, she failed to cancel the gravity spell. She drained all her energy and collapsed to the ground. She asked him to kill her, admitting defeat, but he refused, saying he did not like fighting. He stopped the gravity magic. She asked why, even though she was a demon, and demons kill humans. He answered that it did not matter to him whether she was demon or human, for he would never kill someone who surrendered. Hearing his words, she returned to her human form. All her power was consumed, and she collapsed unconscious. Panaza saw her lying there. Later that night, he opened his magic list and checked it, remembering how the adventurers in the guild had doubted him. He spoke to himself, wondering how he could possess such strong magic. The demon woke up inside a tent. She had regained her magical strength. When she stepped outside and saw Panaza sitting, she told him that he had used healing magic to cure her. Then we learned her name was Fenris. She said that any other person would have killed her and taken her skin to make fur, but she would no longer attack humans. Panaza was happy to hear this. She held his hand and said, "Since you possess such great power, consider me your servant. I will devote my life to repaying this favor." But he refused. He told her that he had saved her not to make her a slave, and that he needed no servants. Yet she begged many times, but he held to his opinion. Then she extended her claws and threatened to kill herself. She said that if he did not accept her offer, she would end her life. Panaza found no other solution but to agree. At last, she became his new servant. Panaza sat with Fenris and told her that he was not from this world, but came from another one. He explained that he had been summoned as a candidate hero, yet he did not possess any skill or magical ability. When he found no way to return to his world, they decided to exclude him and banish him to the forest. Then he showed her the magic of transformation and revealed his true form. He said that he changed his appearance so that no one would know his identity. He confessed that he was still lost, not knowing where to go or what to do. He told her that she would regret choosing to be his servant because he lived without a goal, but Fenris held his hand and said that she did not care from which world he came. What he had done for her was great, and because of that, she would repay him and always stay by his side. We return then to the king, who was scolding the other candidate hero. He told him that he had sent with him a strong army to defeat the demon king, yet his entire army had been killed. The candidate hero answered that the soldiers had been cowards. When they saw a monster from the demon king's army, they were struck with terror and fled, leaving him alone. As a result, they all perished. He said that he did his best to save some of them, and then demanded that the king thank him, because he had returned alive with only a few weak soldiers. But when the king asked the captain of the guards what had happened, the man said that the candidate hero had kept shouting behind the soldiers, then ran away at the very beginning of the battle. The king became angry, while the candidate hero felt sorrow because even after a month of training, his abilities had not improved. He still could not face a powerful monster, and the most he could do was endure against the weak ones. On the next day, Panaza was with Fenris on their way to the Adventurers Guild to take new quests. She kept calling him my lord, but he told her that he had said 100 times not to call him by that title. He did not like it and did not want to draw attention. He told her that anyone who saw them together would think she was his wife. She replied that she could not believe she would ever become the wife of a mighty hero. When they entered the guild, she saw that he was of rank E, but she did not understand the ranking system. He explained it to her. She told him that in their marriage customs, the husband and wife would share the prey they had hunted together. Then the guild clerk came to register her. She spoke her real name, but Panaza quickly gave her a false name, Reese, so that her true identity would not be known. After the registration, they stood before the mission board, and he told her that he wanted her to always live in her human form. Suddenly, the guild clerk called them and told them that there was an urgent mission. Bears had appeared in the northern forest and would reach the kingdom soon. The adventurers were afraid, because these bears were the very ones that had defeated the army of the legendary hero. She said that the mission was open to all ranks, and whoever completed it would receive a reward 10 times greater than an ordinary mission. Panaza said that it was a tempting offer, but that he could not accept it. Fenris asked him why he would not take it, insisting that he could easily kill them, but he replied that if the legendary hero himself had been unable to defeat them, then how could he succeed? She then said, "Let me defeat them, and if I do that, everyone will believe that you are the one who completed the mission." So Panaza used teleportation magic, and they reached the northern forest, where they found a house. He said that this was the very house the guild had told them they would use for the mission, but Fenris said that she would handle the bears herself. He said, "Let me try some of my new spells first." Suddenly they heard screams. They went toward the source of the sound and found the female knights whom he had met before, surrounded by bears. Fenris said that it was none of their concern, because those knights were weak, but the bears were far stronger than them. When one of the bears attacked a knight, Panaza stepped in and used lightning magic, electrifying them all, yet one bear remained alive. So Fenris advanced and struck it with a powerful kick that finished it. The knights thanked him because he had saved their lives for the second time. He introduced them to Fenris and said that she was his companion. Then a wild bear appeared behind Fenris and was about to attack her, but she merely gave it a terrifying glance. It collapsed, pretending to be dead. Panaza said that it had understood her strength and surrendered at once. The bear began to beg them not to kill it. Fenris asked, "What if we make it our ally?" The knights were shocked that they would ever make a wild bear an ally, but Panaza liked the idea. He used binding magic to make it obedient. Then he said that it could not roam the forest with such a frightening form. So he used transformation magic and turned it into a cute rabbit, and the knights were amazed at what they saw. After that, Panaza took everyone into the house and got to know them. There, the knight Balarosa asked him to teach them how to fight. He was surprised and said, "You want someone like me to train you?" She explained that the legendary hero, in his last battle against the bears, had lost his entire army because he had been at the very rear. Since then, they had decided never to face the bears again, except with a strong army. For that reason, the king ordered them to devote themselves to training so that one day they would be able to kill all the bears in the northern forest. Yet she admitted that at their current level, they could not do anything. That was why they wanted him to train them. Suddenly, Panaza noticed that Fenris was very angry, so he tried to ease the situation and said, "I told you she is my companion, but in truth she is my wife." They apologized quickly and said they did not want to stand in his way. When Fenris heard him describe her as as his wife, she was overjoyed, and so she agreed that he would train them until they became strong. Indeed, Panaza agreed to train the Nidises so they could become strong. He allowed them to stay in the house with him during the training period. Then we moved to the castle of the Demon King, where his servant told him that the purification magic in the forest was not from the kingdom's sorcerers, but from one person only. She asked what he would do. He said he was surprised that someone possessed such great magical power that could destroy a large number of demons in an instant. He ordered his assistant to search for that person and find his location. We returned to Panaza, who woke up from sleep and found Fenris in his room. He asked her what she was doing there. She answered that she was his wife, and it was natural to be with him in the room. She said that if she left him, the adventurers would become suspicious and know something unnatural was happening. He told her not to forget that she was a demon and he was a human, and that all of this was only an act so she could live with him. But because he feared that his secret would be discovered, he agreed she could stay. Then Balarosa came to call him to begin training. She stood before a demonic boar and tried to kill it, but she threw her sword away and ran in fear, asking her companions to help. They were weak like her, and even the sorceress, when she used her protection shield, lost all her energy. They all ran away, so Panaza felt there was no hope in training them. Afterwards, when they sat down to eat lunch, they discovered that Fenris had killed the boar and cut it into slices, but she served it raw. Everyone was shocked and asked how they could eat raw meat. Fenris did not understand why they refused, so Panaza told her to leave it to him. With Balirosa, he cooked it and prepared wonderful food. He praised her, saying that she was more skilled in cooking than in fighting. The adventurers asked if he had used magic to cook the food. He told them he was a skilled cook and had not used any magic. Then he asked Fenris to taste the food. Though she was hesitant, when she tried it, she was very impressed and said cooked meat was much better than raw. After that, they returned to the Adventurers Guild. They had exterminated all the bears in the forest, and the adventurers were shocked at how they killed the giant bears so easily. The guild official came, and when he learned they had killed a large number of bears, he asked to speak with Panaza about an important matter. At that moment, Fenris told him she would go on an errand in the city alone. The official sat with Panaza and told him that the kingdom wanted him to join the army of the great hero to fight the Demon King, and that they were ready to grant him the title of honorary knight if he joined. But he thought to himself that they had abandoned him before, and now they wanted him. Since he came from another world, he felt there was no benefit in fighting the Demon King's army. When he left the guild, he found Fenris very tired. He asked if she had fought monsters. She told him no. She had been in a cooking class, because she was annoyed when Balarosa had helped him prepare the food earlier. She decided to learn cooking to prepare good food for him, but she had suffered greatly learning it for the first time. Then we see the great hero hearing that someone in the Adventurers Guild had killed a large number of demonic bears. He said, if he joins us, I will make him my right hand. The kingdom began sending envoys constantly to convince Panaza to join the hero to fight the Demon King's army, but he always refused. Then he and Fenris began training the adventurers. He went to the sorceress and gave her a ring that enhanced her magical power so she would not lose her energy quickly. He saw Balarosa pretending that she was fighting a wild worm. She could not defeat it, trying to force him to help her, but Fenris discovered the trick and killed the worm easily. She told her to stop pretending, that she was capable of killing it, and if she tried to steal Panaza from her, she would not forgive her. Then came the time for lunch. Fenris prepared the food herself, and everyone was impressed with its taste. They asked how she had learned all this so quickly. She told them that she used to think learning martial arts was the most important thing, but she discovered there were many other things she had not learned, such as cooking. When Panaza tasted her food, he was very pleased. At that time, someone was watching Panaza and Fenris from afar. It was the envoy sent by the Demon King, named Uliminas. When she appeared, Fenris confronted her, asking what brought her here and what she wanted from them. But she sat with Panaza, and he offered her tea and introduced her to Fenris. She said she was the close servant of the Demon King. She told them she came to check on the forest, because most of the demons had been killed by the purification magic. Then she was shocked, saying how could a demoness marry a human? This was something she had never heard of before. She was even more surprised to see Panaza sitting calmly, not afraid of her. When she used her ability analysis magic, she could not determine his level of power. She was even more shocked when Panaza told her directly that he was the one who used the purification magic and killed all the monsters in the forest. So Uliminas became unsettled and told Fenris that her husband was the one who killed her brother, because he had been in the forest at that time. But Fenris replied coldly, saying he deserved it because he was foolish and did not know how to defend himself. Whoever is close to the Demon King must accept the consequences of his actions. Whether the killer was Panaza or someone else, that would not change her feelings toward him. The adventurers had heard everything, and now knew the truth about Fenris and Panaza. They were very astonished. Then Uliminus said that Panaza was a great threat to the Demon King. She offered to challenge him in battle before leaving. They stood outside the house, and she said that magic was allowed, and they would fight until one of them surrendered. She flew into the air and used 2 spells at the same time to distract him, but she was shocked when Panaza, with a single finger, cancelled both spells together. Then he cast the binding spell on her and she became unable to move. She admitted her defeat and declared her surrender. After that, Panaza sat with the adventurers, who now knew his truth. They said they were supposed to report to the castle that a demoness was with him, but since he had helped and protected them, they would not report anything. When they went out of the house, Ulaminas returned with dragons from the Demon King's army to attack them. Balarosa said these dragons had killed strong armies in a short time. But Panaza was happy, because for the first time he saw real dragons. Uliminas thought he was mocking her, and ordered the dragons to attack. Panaza used holy magic and unleashed the heavenly rain spell. The sky opened, lightning bolts descended, and the dragons were destroyed. Uliminas was shocked and said, "You destroyed the Demon King's army so easily." The rest of the dragons fled, leaving her alone. One of the adventurers wished to take the title of Dragon Slayer but could not, since the dragons had fled. So Panaza asked her to throw her axe. He enhanced it with power magic, and she killed one of the fleeing dragons, gaining the title. The other adventurers asked him to help them in the same way. At that time, the Demon King was watching through a magical crystal and said, "I did not expect a human to possess such power. Now it is time to activate the second plan." After that, Panaza made a magical barrier around the forest to sense any demon approaching. Fenris grew angry every time she remembered Ulaminas, and she said, "If I see her again, I will not forgive her." She wondered why Panaza treated her kindly, even though she was a demoness. But he remembered that when he used purification magic, he killed Fenris' brother, so he did not want to treat her harshly. Meanwhile, the adventurer who gained the Dragon Slayer title looked at her plate with pride, while Balarosa withdrew sadly. She said she had wished to gain the title because it was usually given to nobles, and if she had obtained it, she could have returned to live with her family inside the kingdom. She kept crying until a mysterious man appeared behind her and said he was looking for an old friend who lived in the forest. She was surprised because she had not felt him approach. She asked if he came to visit Panaza or his wife. He said he came to visit his own wife. She raised her sword and said, "Then you are from the Demon King's army. You want her after she cut her ties with the demons and now lives in peace." But he told her that he was indeed from the army, yet he had no intention of harming anyone. She lowered her sword and apologized. He told her, "Tell Fenris that I am waiting for her to drink tea with me, as we used to long ago." She asked his name. He said, "Tell her that I am Gaul." Panaza quickly returned with Fenris and reassured Balarosa, who said she was fine but had met someone from the Demon King's army named Gaul. Fenris replied sarcastically, saying he could not find a more foolish name, but Panaza said the barrier had detected the presence of a demon. When they looked into the magical plate, they saw it was the Demon King himself. Balarosa collapsed from shock, terrified because she had just spoken with him. Afterwards, the Demon King arrived at Panaza's house. He welcomed him and sat to talk. Balarosa sat frozen in fear, while Fenris asked the reason for his coming. He said he came to offer Panaza a place in his army. Panaza was astonished and told him he would not accept, even though he came himself. The Demon King said, "I know King Clot wants you in his army, but why do you live isolated in the forest?" Panaza replied that since he was human, he would not fight with demons against humans, and since he was from another world, he had no interest in fighting demons here. The Demon King then explained the reason for the conflict between humans and demons. The war had begun 500 years ago, during the time of the first Demon King, who came from another world and wanted to control this one. The humans refused to be under his rule, and so the war continued. With each new king, the goals changed until his own reign came. He confirmed he had no intention of controlling the world, but in anger he showed his power and said he could not allow anyone to threaten the demons. Panaza answered that he had misunderstood, for he did not intend to stand with the demons or with the humans. The Demon King calmed down, laughed, and told him, "You are very stubborn, but I will not give up until I convince you to join me." Before leaving, he showed interest in Balarosa and wanted to speak with her. On the next day, Balarosa woke up and found the Demon King eating breakfast with them, as if everything was normal. She feared him again, but he told her that he wanted to talk. He kept waiting for her every day in front of the house. But whenever she saw him, she found an excuse to leave without speaking. At that time, one of King Claude's subordinates was watching Panaza from afar. He returned to the king and told him that one of the Demon King's followers had been visiting often the house of the adventurer who lived in the forest. King Claude became angry and and said, "How does he refuse our offer to join us, yet accept to become one of the Demon King's followers?" He described him as a traitor and decided to eliminate him or force him to join in any way, but the daughter of the king told her father, "How are you certain he has become a follower of the Demon King? If you send an army to fight him, perhaps you will drive him to join the Demon King's army by his own will." The king told her she was still young and did not understand the management of the kingdom. Then the so-called hero came to the king and requested an army to go to that adventurer and bring him by force. We go to the Demon King's kingdom, where Uliminis told him it was not proper for him to go every day to their house because the demons might become afraid and consider it betrayal. But he replied that he was not accustomed to taking orders from anyone. We returned to Panaza, who crafted armor from dragon scales and decided to go down to the city to sell it because he had been a merchant in his previous world. Fenris told him he could work with the king and earn much more, but he answered that he had told her 100 times he did not want to join either King Claude or the Demon King. Suddenly, they heard a loud commotion outside the house. Fenris said, "Impossible. Has the Demon King come for the 15th time?" But when they went out, they found the so-called chosen hero with the king's soldiers. They told Panaza they had come to force him to join them, or else he would be declared a traitor and a helper of the Demon King. The hero began speaking arrogantly, saying to himself that if Panaza joined his army, he could defeat the Demon King easily. But Panaza stood firm and said, "I am sorry that I troubled you until you came all the way to my home, but I will not change my mind." The hero answered, "Then you will be a traitor, and I must kill you." Balarosa and the other adventurers objected and said, "You are unjust and unfair," but he told them that since they were helping the one who refused to join the king's army, they were traitors like him, and he would arrest them for trial. Panaza saw there was no hope in convincing him. He requested that the fight not take place here, but the hero grew even more angry and said, "Do you think you can defeat me? I can kill you easily." Panaza did not like to prolong arguments. He used teleportation magic and moved the house, the farm, and all the adventurers to a distant place. The hero was shocked, saying, "How can you use magic that I cannot use?" After Panaza vanished, the Demon King arrived but did not find him. He thought the hero and his soldiers were the cause of his disappearance, and in rage, he summoned the demons and ordered a fierce attack on the kingdom. The hero, as usual, became afraid and fled, asking the guards to withdraw. As for Panaza, he had arrived with his companions at a faraway place, bringing the house and farm without anything changing. Fenris, Balarosa, and the adventurers thanked him, saying he had protected them for the millionth time. They promised they would always remain by his side. Then the demons attacked the humans. A battle began with the king's army, and the demons destroyed much and reached the kingdom, deciding to attack it directly. The kingdom's sorcerers set up a magical barrier to repel them, but it was on the verge of collapse. Worry appeared on the king, who asked about the hero and why he was not fighting. They found him hiding in his room, afraid. The king asked his advisors for a solution to the demon attack. One of the priests suggested gathering the sorcerers to use purification magic to destroy the demons. The king's assistant said there was no other solution because if the barrier broke, everyone would die. At that moment, the Demon King watched the battle from afar. When he heard the kingdom wanted to activate purification magic, he withdrew his armies to preserve the demons. The sorcerers of the kingdom gathered to activate the spell, and the king himself participated because it required great power. They succeeded in casting purification magic and saved the kingdom from destruction. Then Panaza returned to his house. Fenris was happy to see him. We learned that he had been in the city to sell the armor but found no suitable shop. Each of the female knights proposed a project with him to cover daily expenses, except Balarosa, who sat embarrassed with no idea. Fenris told her it was no problem. She could stay in the house cleaning and arranging until she found work. But Panaza calmed the situation and told Balarosa, "You can train with the sword and magic to become a strong knight." We returned to the kingdom, where the sorcerers lay exhausted like they were in a coma after draining all their power. Even the king himself had fainted. The daughter of the king took over the duties until he recovered. Her first decision was to expel the hero from the kingdom because he had not participated in the battle and had been hiding in his room. She said, "Since we expelled him, we need a replacement hero, but we cannot summon a new one because our sorcerers are exhausted." Then the princess requested summoning the seer to help her in this difficult situation. Afterwards, the so-called hero tried to enter the kingdom, but the guards prevented him, saying he was expelled by order of the princess. That night, Panaza slept happily, because when he had first arrived in this world, he was lost not knowing what to do. But now he had a home, and had returned to trade as he had in his previous world. In the morning, the female knights asked him to take Fenris out to entertain her, while they stayed to do tasks in the house. Fenris was delighted, and he agreed. He took her out to many places, and she was very happy. In the city, he told her he wanted to buy her a gift. She rejoiced, because she had never received one before. On the way, they found a shop selling necklaces of rare stones, and he bought her a gift of a very rare blue stone. When they returned home, Fenris remained happy, staring at the gift. The female knights felt jealous because she was the only one who received a gift, even though they had been the ones who suggested Panaza take her out. On the next day, the so-called hero entered a secret storehouse to steal everything inside as revenge against Princess Elizabeth. He said, "After being a hero, I cannot live as a common man." He kept searching for a way to defeat the Demon King and regain his position, never forgetting his desire for revenge against Panaza. Suddenly, he heard the voice of a girl telling him, "If you want power, then free me." Only he could hear the voice, while even his maid heard nothing. A secret door opened before him, so he entered and found a strange sword in the ground. The girl asked him to draw the sword, free her, and she would grant him any wish he wanted. The maid thought he was delirious, because he was speaking to himself. Without hesitation, he pulled the sword, and a strong wind rose as a strange fairy appeared, one who possessed the power of light and darkness. The hero grew afraid and said, "I am the one who freed you." She answered, "I will grant you 3 wishes." He began to laugh like a fool, feeling this was his chance to take revenge on everyone who had harmed him. Meanwhile in the kingdom, the seer arrived. Princess Elizabeth told her that the kingdom was protected by purification magic, but only temporarily, and its effect would soon end. They searched for a solution to prevent the demons from attacking again. Suddenly, strange collars appeared around the necks of everyone. They were made by a secret spell that could not be undone. The princess realized that someone had entered the secret room. The seer said, "These are collars of sacrifice." Whenever the fairy fulfills a request, she places collars around victims to sacrifice them in order to complete the wish. She explained that someone had asked the fairy to defeat the Demon King, so she decided to sacrifice a group of them. She added that the king himself once made the same request, and they had to sacrifice half of the city, and even then, they failed. They had gathered the sorcerers of the kingdom to seal that fairy a second time. The princess asked what she should do. The seer answered, "You must summon the true hero you expelled before." They understood that she meant Panaza, whose strength at summoning had seemed weak. In the end, the princess decided she would bring him herself. On the other side, Panaza found a shop that bought armor made from dragon scales. The merchant told him, "I am ready to buy any amount." Fenris and Balirosa waited outside, happy that he had returned to his old trade. With envy, Balirosa said to Fenris, "I wish my husband were like him." Fenris replied, "You could marry the Demon King, for he is not much different from Panaza." But as soon as she heard the name, she fainted. Panaza came out of the shop happy and thanked Balirosa for directing him to the buyer who took all the armor. On this occasion, he decided to entertain Fenris once again. On the way, he received a warning from the system that a powerful fairy was nearby. He turned and found her standing behind him. He asked why she had come, and she said, "I am here to fulfill the wish of the hero, for he asked me to kill you." When she attacked, Fenris rushed forward and took the blow in his place. The bluestone gift Panaza had bought for her fell to the ground. Before dying, she begged him to escape quickly from the fairy. The fairy attacked again, but Panaza blocked her with his defense magic. When she saw him resisting, she decided to use her strongest power to kill him. Panaza tried to heal Fenris with recovery magic, but the wound was too strong. She died, and he grieved deeply. The fairy prepared to release her light magic that destroyed everything around except where Panaza stood. In that moment, he received a notification that he had learned a new magical technique, the magic of light and darkness. For the first time, he became enraged and decided to punish the fairy. He activated the magic of returning time, and Fenris' wound disappeared. The fairy was shocked that a human could use time reversal magic. Panaza approached her in great anger and punched her hard, sending her flying. This was the first time a human had touched her. He kicked her and shouted, "Enough of your chatter!" When she tried to bind him, he crushed the chains and grabbed her head. She attempted to reveal his strength with her magic, but became confused by the overflowing power within him. Then he threw her against the wall and rained punches upon her. Fenris woke again, and Balirosa was relieved she was alive. Fenris remembered only that the fairy had attacked and killed her. Then she saw Panaza striking the fairy and rejoiced that he was defending her. She recalled the day he defeated her the first time, when he said he disliked killing and harming anyone. She wondered how he had changed into such fury for her sake. She saw him striking the fairy with great wrath. The fairy fell defeated, and Panaza approached and held her neck. She begged forgiveness, but he said, "I will not forgive you because you hurt Fenris." He kept strangling her until Fenris leapt from behind, hugged him, and begged him to stop. She said, "I cannot believe you showed such anger for me. When I first knew you, you were kind and disliked violence. Return to how you were, the human who loves everyone and harms no one." She wept until he calmed down. When he saw that she had recovered, he rejoiced in her return to life. In the forest, the sorcerers teleported Princess Elizabeth and began searching for Panaza. They were exhausted and had consumed their power, so the princess ordered the guards to protect them until she found the hero. Suddenly, all the collars around their necks broke. They said, "It seems the wish of the princess has failed." Then the guards reached the secret room where the so-called hero was. They told him, "Come out, you are wanted, and will be executed." He cursed the fairy, saying she promised him wishes, but failed. Then he heard the same voice, surprised that the fairy had failed. It controlled his maid, possessed her body, and appeared in its true form. She thanked him for freeing the fairy, because he allowed her to leave and appear again. She introduced herself as Dama, the great sorceress of darkness. She cast a spell on the hero, telling him, "I will grant you all the power you desire." He became a huge monster, and she said, "Now you are much more beautiful. Let us take revenge on everyone who caused my imprisonment for thousands of years." She went out and found traces of teleportation magic that had moved the princess. She began following the trail and said, "I will not let anyone escape me again." Then she flew together with the hero-turned-monster, searching for the princess to kill her. Meanwhile, Panaza was healing the fairy with recovery magic. When she woke, she was afraid and said, "Do not hurt me." Balarosa asked, "What will we do with her? We cannot hand her to the kingdom lest she escape and bring disasters again." Panaza said, "We will return her to the secret room and seal her again, but first I will use memory magic to know who freed her and why." He did so and learned everything, and the fairy was shocked by his ability to use memory magic. She thought she alone mastered it. When he knew that she was a fairy who grants wishes in exchange for heavy sacrifices, he said to Balarosa, "You are right, we will not return her to the castle lest the disaster repeat." He thought of a solution, but Fenris interrupted. She said, "I have one. Let her be our servant. I know you dislike having servants, but a fairy of this strength will help us greatly in missions." Panaza told her, "Do not forget that she killed you." She replied that she had been upset at her weakness before, and now she was stronger. So he agreed that the fairy could join on one condition. She must promise not to harm anyone again. The fairy changed her view of humans, for she had seen them as evil. When Panaza offered her peace, she agreed, promised not to harm anyone, and said, "All my power will serve only you." The city was destroyed from the battle, so Panaza wanted to use time reversal magic to repair it. He said, "As long as I return Fenris to life, I can fix the ruin." But the fairy warned him not to. She said, "This magic may cause terrible damage between the moment you return to and the present time. I can use it better than you, for it is not meant for humans." He asked, "How am I able to use it then?" She said, "Because you sealed the power, and you possess nearly every magic in the world." Panaza realized that the infinity mark in the system board meant he had unlimited magical skills. Whenever any magic was used on him, he learned it automatically and could release it. Then the fairy returned with Panaza to the house and met the female knights. They were afraid of her, and one of them said, "Panaza keeps bringing us strange characters. First the demon king, and now a frightening fairy." Balarosa said, "Your room is ready." Another objected in fear, but Balarosa told her, "Do not fear as long as Panaza is with us in the house." At night, Panaza sat thinking, unable to believe he possessed such power. Balarosa came to reassure him. He told her, "I know my power frightened you today." She said, "Rather, I was happy because you protected us." He said, "Though they say I have great power, I do not know how to use it well." She answered, "I cannot aid you, for I do not have a quarter of your strength. But I discovered lately that yesterday's allies became enemies, and yesterday's enemies became allies." Then he returned to his room and found Fenris sad. She asked, "Do you intend to return to your world?" He said, "I have not decided yet, but most likely I want to return." She begged him, "Please do not leave me alone. Take me with you wherever you go," he told her. "For now, I do not intend to return." Then he was surprised to see the fairy spying on him. He asked, "What are you doing here?" She said, "My duty is to watch my master wherever he goes." On the other side, we saw Princess Elizabeth asking the townsfolk about Panaza, but no one knew anything about him nor where he had gone. We go to Panaza and see all the girls gathered around him eating. The fairy Haya became the new cook since she had no other work, and she prepared the food. It turned out she was skilled, and her meals were delicious. This worried the girls because she could take their place, as she did everything Panaza asked. After finishing the meal, they worked hard to convince him that no one could replace them and that they would stay with him forever. Then Panaza took Fenris and went down with her to the city to rest and practice his trade. He sold some of his equipment while Fenris watched him with deep pride. Suddenly, the sky darkened and a magic gate opened. From it descended the so-called hero who had turned into a gorilla, along with his sorceress. The townspeople grew afraid, ran, and hid. Panaza rushed out in alarm and asked Fenris what had happened. She told him the giant gorilla had suddenly appeared and was attacking people, so he ran with her to save the townsfolk. On the way, they met Haya, who said she felt great danger and had come quickly. She explained that the gorilla had once been an ordinary human, but the sorceress on his shoulder had used a spell to transform him. Haya added that this sorceress's goal was to find Princess Elizabeth and kill her. Then the scene returned to the gorilla and the sorceress. The sorceress Dama found the princess in the city with her guards as they searched for Panaza. When the guards tried to protect her, Dama released a powerful spell that knocked them away. Panaza asked Haya who she was. Haya said her name was Dama, and long ago she had been the strongest sorceress in the world, ruling the entire kingdom. Then she learned black magic and began destroying the world until a powerful hero appeared and sealed her inside his sword. Haya said she herself had been sealed in the same place, and when the hero freed her, Dama was released as well. Haya apologized to Panaza, saying she was the cause of these troubles, and asked to face Dama herself. Panaza agreed on the condition that she protect the townsfolk. Dama mocked the princess and ordered her to prepare for death. The gorilla rushed at her, but Haya blocked the attack. Dama asked why she protected the princess. Haya replied that it was her own matter, and she had orders to end Dama. Dama called her arrogant and a failure, saying she had never granted a single wish. Then she flew into the air and drove the gorilla to attack, boosting it with her magic. Haya blocked the strike with ease. Dama said there was no escape and used her strongest black magic, merging it with the gorilla. It grew enormous in size. Suddenly the spell broke and the beast vanished. We learned that Panaza had undone the spell to protect the townsfolk. Haya apologized to him for putting everyone in danger. She said she was ready for any punishment since she had failed to end Dama, but Panaza told her he would not harm her, just as he promised. Haya asked him to give her another chance to finish Dama. She launched her magic at the sorceress, who trembled in fear after seeing a human cancel her black magic. Haya sealed Dama inside a small orb in her hand. Then she restored the hero and his companion to their normal forms. Afterwards, she swallowed the orb and told Panaza she had done so to prevent Dama from escaping again. Princess Elizabeth arrived to thank Panaza for protecting the city from Dama. She apologized for the cruelty of her father and the foolish hero they had trusted. She asked him to return with her to the kingdom and be her new hero. She told him he was the true hero they had always waited for. But Panaza refused. He said the offer was tempting and hard to reject, and that a hero should be ready to sacrifice his life for the innocent. However, he explained he was not the right person for that mission. Now he had a home and a family, and he wanted to live peacefully without trouble. So he returned with Fenris to the house. They found the girls working hard so that the fairy Haya would not take their places. Then Panaza told Fenris he wanted to open his own shop and practice trade on a large scale. Fenris loved the idea and said, "When you open it, I will bring all my demon friends to buy from you." Suddenly, Panaza surprised Fenris by placing a wedding ring on her hand, and he wore one as well. Fenris was overjoyed, because now their bond became official. Meanwhile, the failed hero sat in the kingdom's prison shouting for help, but no one answered. We shifted to Balarosa, who found herself in a strange place wearing a wedding dress. The maid of the Demon King congratulated her, saying she had married him. Then Gul, the Demon King, appeared and declared from now on she was his wife. She saw demons gathered around, celebrating the marriage and declaring they would conquer the world as a wedding gift for her. Balarosa was shocked and said she did not want such a gift, begging them to leave her alone. She screamed until the Demon King held her and said he loved her. She screamed again, then woke up and realized it was only a dream. Why do these dreams keep coming to me? Why do I always see the Demon King? She asked herself. She kept screaming until her companions told her to calm down because they wanted to sleep. The next day, Balarosa was with Fenris preparing breakfast. Fenris told her she looked exhausted. Balarosa said it was because nightmares kept her from sleeping. Fenris told her that dreams often reflect desires, or sometimes mean someone has fallen in love and cannot sleep. Their companions and Haya teased her, saying she had fallen in love with the Demon King because she kept calling his name all night. Fenris added that the Demon King also liked her, always asking about her and wanting to speak with her. Balarosa denied it, saying this was nonsense because the Demon King hated her, as she had raised her sword against him the first time they met. Fenris told her she could break the wall between humans and demons, just as Panaza had done with Fenris, since they now lived happily despite being from different worlds. Fenris then began speaking about her feelings toward Panaza and how much she loved him. At that moment, Panaza entered and had heard everything. Suddenly, the system notified him that someone had broken through the magic barrier he had built around the city and the forest. The barrier was meant to detect demons entering in his absence. He said the barrier was not destroyed, but the intruder had passed through it easily. At that same time, a strange girl stood in the forest near the city, staring silently at the magic barrier Panaza had created. We returned to Princess Elizabeth in the kingdom. She was speaking with one of the king's aides. He told her that the money Panaza had given them was the same money the kingdom had originally issued. She asked what he meant. He explained that the money they had given to Panaza was the same they had given to the weak hero they once summoned and later banished. He revealed that Panaza and that failed hero were the same person. The princess was shocked and said, "If I go to him again and ask him to return, perhaps he will agree." While she was speaking, a guard arrived with urgent news. He said the weak hero had escaped with his servant from the prison cell. The guards and adventurers of the kingdom began searching for him to bring him back. They searched the forest but could not find him. Meanwhile, the failed hero and his servant were in disbelief that they had escaped. He said it was all because of the fairy who had failed to grant his wishes. His servant replied that they were now criminals wanted by justice, but he refused to call himself a criminal and said he had done nothing wrong. She asked how he could say that when he had entered the secret chamber to steal everything inside. He answered that he was only seeking his right because they abandoned him after he protected them. He carried a pouch of gold coins, the only thing he took from the golden chest in the chamber. But when he checked it, he was shocked to find it empty. Instead, inside was only a strange shovel. He said perhaps this shovel would make up for all that he had lost. But when he opened it, he was shocked again, because it was nothing but a worthless shovel. As he shouted in anger, the guards heard his voice and ran toward him. They could not find him, for he had used the shovel to dig a massive hole and hide inside it with his servant. The servant was happy, saying the shovel had saved their lives and hidden them from the guards. But soon they realized they were trapped in a deep pit and wondered how they would get out. We then returned to the Demon King, who asked Ulaminas if they had found Panasa. She answered that all the search teams had failed and that perhaps he had left for another world. The Demon King said that was impossible, even with teleportation magic, because it could only take him to places he had visited before. It could never send him to new places, no matter how strong his power was. Ulamina said that since Panaza was not present, this was their chance to attack the human kingdom and conquer it, fulfilling the demon's long-awaited desire. But the Demon King refused. He said he did not want a war between humans and demons, nor did he want to sacrifice countless soldiers without purpose. His priority was to find Panaza and his companions. Uliminas protested, saying they could not silence the opposition in the Demon Kingdom because they hated him too much. The Demon King approached her and said he would never break his promise to Panaza not to attack humans. At that moment, a demoness from the opposition was spying on him. She went to inform her leader, who turned out to be the Demon King's brother. His brother was bitter about his decisions and plotted to overthrow him and take the throne. His aide encouraged him, saying his brother had grown weak and was unfit to rule. He claimed he deserved the crown more and vowed to overthrow him, seize the throne, and destroy the human kingdom. The scene returned to Panaza, who had arrived in the city to make sure everything was safe after someone had broken through his magic barrier. But he found the city stable and free from danger. While walking with Fenris, they decided to have lunch together. On the way, they met an old woman closing her shop. They asked her why, and she explained that the recent battle between humans and the Demon Kingdom had destroyed her shop and ruined the trade routes. Since her large workshop had collapsed, she could not repair it or return to her work. Panaza and Fenris felt sad and wished no new war would ever rise between humans and demons. They continued toward lunch when Balarosa appeared. She said she had risen in rank in the Adventurers Guild, received a large reward, and wanted to invite them to lunch. Fenris was annoyed because her romantic moment with Panaza had been ruined. Balarosa thanked Panaza for his training, which had increased her strength. Suddenly, the fairy Haya appeared in a rush. She said she sensed someone nearby with enormous magic power and began casting a spell, but Fenris intervened and stopped her. It turned out that the one who had arrived was none other than the Demon King Gol himself. Gol said he had searched for Panaza for a long time until he finally found his place. He sat with them to have lunch. He admired Balirosa and began speaking with her. She felt her dream was starting to come true. During the meal, he praised human food and said humans were excellent cooks. Fenris told him that Balarosa was a skilled cook, and if he married her, she would cook anything he wanted. Panaza then asked Gol how he knew their location. Gol replied that he had been watching him for a long time. Balarosa grew angry because he had spied on them. She said humans and demons would always be enemies. Gol answered that the hatred between them existed because humans had oppressed demons. He began speaking to convince them that demons were innocent. The fairy Haya explained how monsters became demons. She said every monster contained demonic matter, and those who released it turned into demons. Panaza kept thinking about how humans and demons could live together peacefully, just as he lived with Fenris. As he returned with her, he said that when he first arrived in this world he was happy because there was no discrimination between humans and demi-humans, but he later discovered the deep hatred between humans and demons. Then he embraced Fenris and told her, "I promise you I will mend the relationship between demons and humans." We then see the failed hero with his servant trying to climb out of the large hole they had dug. Just as they reached the top, the servant accidentally pushed him and he fell back down again. The next day, Fenris was preparing breakfast for everyone. The food was delicious and pleased them all. Fenris was happy with their praise and said all the credit went to the cooking school that had taught her everything. She had already thanked her teacher before, because learning to cook was the reason Panaza became attached to her. While they were eating, there was a knock at the door. Panaza opened it and was shocked to see Princess Elizabeth and her guards. He was surprised and asked why she had come. She said they had discovered his true identity, that he was the hero summoned to fight the Demon King, but his power had been weak at the time, so they had expelled him. Panaza was stunned that his secret had been revealed, but he welcomed her and invited her inside. After the greetings, she asked to speak with him alone. Everyone agreed, except Fenris, who said she did not trust them because they had treated him badly at the beginning. Panaza agreed with Fenris and said he did not mind the others leaving, but Fenris must stay with him. When they left, the princess sat on the floor before him and began to apologize. She said, "Forgive us for the way we treated you, especially the cursed charm we placed in your bag to dispose of you." Panaza replied there was no need to apologize because he was no longer angry. He said he now had his own trade and no interest in the heroes who would protect the kingdom. But she produced a magic map marked with the locations of dangerous monsters around the kingdom. She said these monsters carried powerful magic stones that could be used to forge great weapons. He asked why she was telling him all this and what exactly she wanted from him. She said the purification spell they had used against the Demon King would soon wear off, and when that happened, the demons would attack to take revenge. She explained that their magicians had not yet recovered their strength and could not repeat the spell, and their army was too weak to resist the demons. Fenris interrupted her and said, "Do not involve Panaza in a war that is not his." But the princess shocked them when she said the king suspected Panaza of allying with the demons and intended to send his army to attack them soon. Fenris grew angry and said, "We are not afraid of your entire kingdom." The princess answered that she had come to help them, and that she had a plan to remove her father from the throne, claiming he had chosen the wrong hero to protect the kingdom. She said she would take the throne after him, but this could only happen with Panaza's help. Fenris refused to believe her and said she only wanted to use Panaza to reach power. Panaza calmed Fenris and told the princess he would agree to help her on the condition that he would have nothing to do with the war between humans and demons. It became clear that the princess did not intend to recruit him into the army at all, but only wanted his help to claim the throne. We return to the failed hero and his servant, hiding from adventurers who were chasing them. The servant was happy they had escaped from the hole, but soon she began to cry from hunger. He gave her the last food he had from his bag. While they were talking, a strange spider approached and shot its webs to bind them. Suddenly, the aide of the Demon King's brother appeared and said they would be the sacrifice for her plan. We return to Panaza, who was at home thinking about the princess's words. He said to Fenris, "Perhaps she is right, and I feel that a great danger threatens the city." He seriously considered helping them and wondered what the best way would be. The scene then shifted to a village near the forest. The villagers were warning the people to hide because demons were approaching. Everyone fled quickly, except for one orphan girl left alone. The demons attacked her to kill her, but Panaza and Fenris appeared in disguise and defeated the demons easily. Panaza then cast a magic barrier around the village to keep demons from entering. The demons were shocked and said Fenris should be helping them, not standing with humans. She told them she was there to protect the village. Panaza said, "We are here to protect the people. If you do not want to die, leave now." The demons grew angry and said he was mocking them. He replied, "I am not mocking you, but you have not even broken my barrier yet. You are nothing but weak demons with no value." Suddenly, a giant demon appeared carrying a massive club. He thought he could easily smash the barrier. When Fenris saw him, she recognized him as one of the servants of the Demon King's brother. The demon told her she was foolish for leaving the demons and joining the humans. Fenris grew furious and asked Panaza to let her face him so she could take her revenge. Panaza said, "I do not mind. Go quickly and finish off that one-eyed demon indeed." Fenris broke through the barrier and charged at the demon. She dodged all of his attacks and began moving swiftly, biting into his body. But he stood firm and told her weak bites would never defeat him. Suddenly, she flew into the air and cast the exchange spell, switching places with him so the club sank into his own head. She followed with another spell, gathering a massive amount of trees and hurling them at his body. He could not defend himself. The other demons wanted to rush to his aid, but they froze when Panaza unleashed his magic and threatened them, saying, "If I see you in this village again, I will wipe you all out." Terrified, they fled at once. The villagers came and thanked him for saving them, but he refused to reveal his true identity. At the same time, news reached Princess Elizabeth that a disguised adventurer had saved a village from demons. She immediately understood it was Panaza and realized he had accepted her offer to help. Meanwhile, the failed hero and his servant were bound before the Demon King's brother. He ordered his aide to prepare the ritual to sacrifice them and summon a stronger demon. The next day, day, Gol, the Demon King, arrived with his aide Uliminas at Panaza's home. Surprised, Panaza and Fenris asked why he had come. Gol replied he would be staying with them for 2 days. Shocked, they asked the reason, and he began to tell his story. He explained that while away from his kingdom, one of his aides had brought grave news. Uliminas had learned of his brother's intention to rebel and seize the throne. Back in the Demon Kingdom, Uliminas scolded the king's aides. She demanded to know why they had failed to stop his brother. They answered that a fierce battle would soon take place, and whoever won would rule. Angrily, she said they should have arrested the rebels immediately, but they refused and explained the king's recent actions had been strange. They said he disappeared for long periods, pulled back his armies, refused to fight humans, and even visited a human regularly. Panaza. Frustrated, she tried to convince them to stand with the king. They told her he should defend his throne himself, so she left and went straight to his brother. There, his aide welcomed her and told her it would be better to join them since soon her master would lose the throne. But the aides replied they would never betray their king and that the duel would decide everything. Enraged, Uliminas charged at the Demon King's brother. She failed. Her claws broke and he struck her with a powerful punch that sent her flying. Yet one of her broken claws flew toward the king, intending to wound him, but his aide intercepted it. She told Uliminas her tricks were old and useless. At that moment, Gol arrived and ordered his aide to take Uliminas away for healing. Then he faced his brother, who challenged him to a duel for the throne. His brother accused him of being a coward for withdrawing his army and refusing to invade the human kingdom. Gol released his power, and his brother thought he had accepted the duel. But to everyone's surprise, Gol removed the ring of kingship and said, "If you believe I am unfit, then I relinquish the throne. I will not fight for the position." He turned and prepared to leave, but his brother was enraged, thinking Gol mocked him, and lunged at him. Gol struck him with a devastating punch that shattered the castle walls and hurled him outside. He said, "This blow is your punishment for striking my aide, Uliminas." After that, Gol returned to Panaza and told him this was his story. Uliminas added they now had no money, no place, and no one but Panaza to turn to. Panaza told them he needed to ask those who lived with him first. At that moment, Balarosa returned from her hunt and said it had been very successful. When she saw Gol and Uliminas, she froze in shock. Panaza explained they wished to stay with them for a time. Balarosa grew afraid and could not believe the Demon King would live among them. Then the other girls arrived and were equally stunned. Panaza asked their opinion about hosting him. Though they were fearful, they agreed. Afterward, they held a tea party. Fenris asked the Demon King if he had money to buy his own house. Uliminas answered that he had given all his wealth to his brother when he relinquished the throne. But Gol said he could still do much, just as Panaza had when he defeated the demons in the village. Panaza was surprised and asked how he knew. Gol replied, "Shame on you. I am the Demon King." Later, Panaza consulted the adventurers, and they all agreed to let him stay. The next day, Gol walked among them while they worked. He offered to help, but they refused, so he went to Panaza's workshop and saw the weapons he was making. He admired the armor forged from dragon scales, and said it resisted magic, and posed a great obstacle to demons. Panaza told him, "These armors I give only to adventurers." From a distance, Uliminas and Fenris watched, noticing that the two men had grown very close and were speaking together as friends. After that, Balarosa stood on the balcony, worried about the presence of the Demon King among them. Panaza and Fenris came to her with some biscuits and told her not to worry because the Demon King would never harm humans. She answered that she had seen with her own eyes in her old village how many people died at the hands of demons. It was difficult for her to accept his presence with them, but Panaza said he knew that humans hated demons. Yet as she saw, the Demon King came asking for help, which was proof he had no evil intent. He added that if the Demon King tried to betray them, Panaza himself would deal with him. The next day, Balarosa went to the Demon King and told him that if he ever tried to harm humans, she would take revenge on him in her own way. Uliminas grew angry at her words and said she was trembling with fear, but the Demon King smiled and thanked her for allowing him to stay. He promised he would never harm anyone. Yet Balarosa refused to shake his hand and said she would not believe him until she saw it with her own eyes. Then she took her bear and went out hunting. At that time, the failed hero and his servant had escaped from the Demon Kingdom. The hero had stolen some magic stones and said he would sell them for a great deal of money, but the stones began to release demonic energy, and he did not realize it. While he was running back, the dark energy spread. Meanwhile, in the Demon Kingdom, the Demon King's brother, who had taken the throne, was wondering why his soldiers could not invade the human kingdom. His servant told him there there were many traps blocking them. He became angry and said that demons far outnumbered humans, so there was no reason to worry, but she seemed unconvinced, which enraged him further, and he struck her so hard that she flew far from the castle. On the other side, the followers of King Gol were angry with the brother. They called him foolish for making wrong decisions. As for Panaza and Fenris, they were walking through the city. They entered a contest and won, and the prize was a trip to the hot springs. Fenris was happy because she thought she would go with him alone, but the clerk told her it was a family trip, which meant the Demon King and all the girls in the house would also go. Fenris felt upset, but Panaza comforted her. He said he would make it up to her later, and that this was a chance to know the king better. When they arrived, the manager of the place welcomed them, and asked Panaza to fill in the form. Then the staff gave them special clothes. While the girls were changing, one of them accidentally bumped into the Demon King's brother without knowing who he was. He grew angry, but his servant calmed him and told him not to cause trouble, so their mission of gathering information would not be exposed. At that time, the Demon King's brother had also come in disguise with his followers. No one knew why. Fenris asked Gol to hide himself so his brother would not see him. She said if his presence was revealed, everything would be destroyed. But Gol did not like the idea, and said there was no problem in greeting them. Fenris grew angry, and said such a thing would bring ruin on everyone there. Moments later, Panaza came out in his new clothes to enjoy the hot springs with Fenris. Meanwhile, the other girls encouraged Balarosa to use the chance to speak with the Demon King. She felt shy, but one of them called him, and he came to sit beside her. He began saying kind words to her, which made his servant jealous. She told him this was not the time for such talk. She said he should think of how to take back the throne from his brother. On the other side, the Demon King's brother was sitting with his men, enjoying human food that pleased them greatly. They were so happy that they laughed and danced, but the Demon King struck his servant harshly because she had danced. He hit her in front of everyone. At the same moment, the failed hero and his servant reached the same place. His servant was hungry, and he said he would sell the magic stones for money. But suddenly, the stones began releasing a strong, dark energy. With the tension rising, a fight broke out among the demons because they were drunk. The failed hero and his servant saw them and recognized who they were. They said, "What are they doing here?" Suddenly, the hero lost control of the stones and transformed into a giant monster. It began destroying the hotel in chaos while people fled in fear. The hotel manager tried to use her magic to stop the monster, but she failed. The building was about to collapse on her, but Panaza rushed to save her. He used his magic to prevent the hotel from falling, then told Fenris to move quickly and find out what was happening. After that, Gol, the Demon King, arrived. When he saw the giant monster destroying the hotel, he believed that his brother was the one who caused it. He realized someone had used the magic stones that control humans or demons and turned them into beasts. At that moment, Balarosa and the other girls decided to go and fight the monster. But Gol told them there was no need, because they could not do anything against it. He assured them that Panaza was capable of solving the problem easily. However, Balarosa refused and said she could not leave Panaza alone in such great danger. This impressed Gol, so he decided to go with her to help. When they arrived, they noticed that Fenris was very angry at the monster because it ruined the place where she wanted to spend her time with Panaza. Suddenly, the brother of Gol appeared, laughing, then attacked using his magic. But Gol blocked all his attacks with ease. This enraged his brother, so he decided to use the giant monster for the battle. But Gol remained strong and blocked its strikes. Meanwhile, Panaza continued using his magic to stop the hotel from collapsing. Suddenly, Balarosa came to him and told him she had seen Gol the Demon King with a group of demons. She thought he was planning to attack the humans, but Panaza confidently replied that Gol would never betray them. He confirmed that he would keep focusing on protecting the hotel. Outside, the fight continued between Gol and his brother. With the monster's help, his brother managed to restrain him, but Gol moved swiftly and knocked the monster to the ground. There, he saw the foolish hero trapped inside the monster's body and said he had to save him. But Fenris interrupted, saying she would take care of it because she was angry that her trip was ruined. She used teleportation magic, appeared in front of the hero, and struck him with a powerful blow. It shattered the magic stones, causing his assistant to fall from a high place. But Gol intervened and saved her, which only made his brother angrier. Gol tried to calm him, saying he did not want another fight or more problems, but his brother refused and attacked with powerful magic, launching very fast strikes. Some of them hit Gol. This angered him, so he grabbed his brother by the neck and told him that he had warned him before, but he never learned. Then he sealed his power and stopped him from using any energy. At that moment, the hotel manager appeared and cast a powerful spell. It immobilized Gol's brother and restrained all of his followers as well. After the battle ended, the hotel manager thanked Panaza for saving the place from destruction. She gave him free lodging as a reward. That night, Panaza sat reflecting on what had happened. Fenris came to him and told him that when she first saw humans, she did not like them, but after she met him, her entire view changed. Panaza smiled at her and decided in his heart that he never wanted to lose her. He chose to remain in this world and never return to his old one. And thus ended the first season of the story of the hero Panaza. If you are excited for season 2, my friend, do not forget to support us with a like and subscription. If any news about it appears, we will be the first to bring it to you. Support us with a like and subscription, and see you again in a new story. Goodbye.